Barry Allen. I am the fastest man alive.
Good evening everybody, how are we all doing? I hope having a good week so far. So today is Wednesday, 1st of April 2015, and if you guys have been fooled by any tricks today, shame on you. But as I like to say every year, trust no one, believe nothing. Yeah, okay. But here we are, we're back with a new episode of The Flash, aired last night, episode 17, titled Tricksters. And it sees the return of the original Trickster from the 90s version of The Flash, Mark Hamill himself, ladies and gentlemen, aka Luke Skywalker, Joker from Batman the Animated Series as well. And wow, what an episode, and good to see Mark Hamill back on the small screen. I can't wait to see him back on the big screen later this year. Obviously, you might have heard of some film called S.T.A.R. The Force Awakens. No, maybe not. Never mind. But yeah, it was a good episode, and not just for the Trickster, but also for the reveal of how Eobard Thawne and Harrison Wells come together. Okay, I'll get to that in a moment as well. But yeah, the Trickster side of things. So we've got a young kid who calls himself the Trickster and has been, grabbing the headlines of late. He, is basically trying to destroy Central City through a series of gags. Think of him as the Flash's version of the Joker, basically. That's who the Trickster is, essentially. But like in the comics, there are two Tricksters as well. You've got the original James Jesse, otherwise known as the reverse version of Jesse James, as they are called. And I've completely forgotten who the young kid was, but even though I've read this particular Trickster in the comics and stuff, but I've completely forgotten his name, so I do apologise. But yeah, this episode was really good. There were so many good Easter eggs. One in particular, a huge Star Wars reference. If you didn't get it, well, you're too young, is all I'm going to say. But I was actually laughing when Mark Hamill actually said that line. It was very fitting, very fitting. So yeah, but then we actually find out what was really going on regarding the Trickster, because there was a whole Silence of the Lambs vibe. Did you all get that? I'm sure you probably did. There's a whole Silence of the Lambs vibe where both Joe West and Barry Allen visit James Jesse, the original Trickster, at Iron Heights to gauge a bit more information as to who this new Trickster is, why he's now copying the original Trickster. And we obviously see how Mark Hamill's Trickster is not happy that there's this fraud out there, this imposter trading in his name, essentially, and basically just ruining the legacy that he left behind. And yeah, there was that whole, as I say, the whole prison setup and everything was a whole sort of Silence of the Lambs vibe, which I thought was really good. Iris is also getting worried about Mason Bridge. We all know what happened to him last week. He's obviously got missing, this, that and the other. So she asks Eddie Thawne to look into his disappearance, and something happens that Eddie doesn't expect towards the end of the episode, and even I was completely shocked. And I even actually said to myself, I was like, oh no, why did they do this? Why now? Why do this at all? Not just why now, but why do it at all? Why do they have to do that? You shouldn't have made that move, as far as I'm concerned, because yeah, we still don't know what the play is with Eddie Thawne, what they're going to do with him on the show, but I don't like him. Maybe it's because of the fact that his initials, E.T., not standing for extraterrestrial, is exactly the same as Eobard Thawne's. But yeah. And speaking of Eobard, the opening of this episode was just superb. It was pure comic book goodness. It's the sort of thing that you would see that once you open a comic book, that's exactly what you want to see. That's precisely the sort of thing that you will see. Just pure action from the get-go. We go back 15 years to when Eobard Thawne, the Reverse Flash, is being chased by Barry Allen, and they go to Barry's house, and Barry is stopping Eobard from killing himself, from basically killing his younger self, his younger Barry Allen. And it's amazing how they slow it down so that you see exactly what is going on. They are both fighting with each other. That's what's going on. And it was just sublime watching that going on. The way how they were just fighting each other, and how as Reverse Flash was about to go for younger Barry, how older Barry manages to flip him over. And then when Henry is telling young Barry, you've got to run, you've got to run, what does old Barry do? Grabs himself, gets him as far away from the house as possible, and then that's that. And then at the same time, we see Reverse Flash running away from the house. Possibly at this point he's already killed Nora Allen, so he's running away from the house. And then obviously he slows to a crawl, he stops running altogether, and then he's asking Gideon, you know, why is this happening to me? Because he's so far away from his timeline, his ability is just died out, basically. He's no longer tapped into the Speed Force. And possibly that's also because Barry may have gone back to his future. So without that Speed Force there, Reverse Flash can't go back to his timeline. What was interesting though was when he took his mask off, he was somebody totally different. Now I was expecting to see Harrison Wells, you know, Tom Cavanagh's face, but we didn't get that. We got someone else totally different, and that's when we are finally shown what really happened with the original Harrison Wells. And I'm sure I may have mentioned it somewhere, whether it was me that might have figured this out, that when Joe West was first looking into the whole Harrison Wells case, how he was asking him about where he was for the 15 years ago, what he was doing in Central City, this, that and the other, at the time that Barry's mother died and stuff. And Harrison was telling him how his wife had died in a car crash and this, that and the other. We find out about said car crash, we know exactly what happens. And just the fact that already, I didn't even know that Harrison Wells was already a renowned scientist. He was already planning to build S.T.A.R Labs with his wife, Tess Morgan. Let that name sink in for a bit, Tess Morgan. But she was one that actually came up with the name S.T.A.R Labs when they were deciding what they were going to call the laboratory. He was going to use her name as an acronym, and but she decided on S.T.A.R Labs, and it was very well thought out. I thought that was good way to bring that in. And but Eobard, we now know what he originally looks like, how he became Harrison Wells, and yeah, it's all coming to a head, I think. And now obviously Barry, knowing now that Mason has disappeared, now believes that Harrison Wells has something to do with Mason's disappearance, as well as the death of his mother and Henry being in prison as well. And speaking of Henry, he now knows that Barry is the Flash. I think that's good. But at the same time, that could cause problems as well later on. So who knows what's going to happen. But there's no Flash next week. They're taking a week break purely because that there's five episodes left now. So they want to show every episode back to back until the very end. So taking a week off next week. Same thing with Arrow after tomorrow, and then they'll be back in 2 weeks' time, and then pretty much finish all the way through from there. We're going to see the likes of Gorilla Grodd. There's going to be the All-Star Team Up, which is the next episode 18. Felicity, Ray Palmer, and also we'll see Laurel talking to Cisco, this, that, and the other. So there's going to be a crossover as well. So that's going to be awesome. I'm really looking forward to that. and it looks like the Team Arrow are coming to Central City. Can't wait, cannot wait. So looking forward to it. So good times ahead. A lot of reveals to come, but last night's episode was pure top notch, and yeah, what a revelation now about Eobard Thawne and Harrison Wells. So I'm really pleased that we've got that dynamic, that we've got that story now. So it's good that even though Barry went back in time after everything that happened in Out of Time, we are still getting the whole Harrison Wells Eobard Thawne story. It's still kicking, it's still in motion. And did you hear how Harrison was telling Barry how to vibrate himself so that he can go through solid objects? That's exactly what ticked Barry off. Straight away he was like, speaking from experience, yeah, he's not wrong. He is not wrong at all. But yeah, so like I say, good to see Mark Hamill back. It was really good to have him back there, and obviously a reunion for him and John Wesley Shipp, who was the original Flash in the 90s TV series as well. So that I think was interesting as well, I'm sure. But yeah, very, very good episode. As I say, I like the way that the Easter eggs were laid out in this episode as well. So anyway, thank you all very much for watching. See you all very soon. Bye.